Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of November 21st, 2024, Trustees of Public Burial Grounds meeting. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone in the audience who is recording the meeting to please identify themselves to the record now. Okay, seeing no one. I'm going to conduct the roll call. So when I call your name, just say present. George?
Present.
Andy?
Present.
Judy is present. And James McNamara?
Present.
Okay. Michelle is here remotely, Michelle Shivarasi.
Present.
Thank you, Michelle. Others present are Jacqueline Poirier, Superintendent of the Public Burial Grounds, and DPW Commissioner Nick Erickson. And Chief of Staff, Alex Barra, right? Yes. Chief of Staff. And I don't believe anybody else is online or remotely. And I don't see anybody present to speak on the agenda. So the time is 9, let's see, what's the time? 9:07. We didn't have it. No conversation yet. Okay, good. All right, you don't need to do that then. Okay, so we'll go to the agenda, which you should all have in front of you. And going to make an announcement again for the public viewing. So we've been making an announcement at every meeting just about regarding the Fitchburg Forest Hill Cemetery Abbey Mausoleum project. And we're, as everyone is aware, the project has been put on hold right now because of financing. But we are asking volunteers and members of the community, corporations, banks, to consider making a contribution to the Fitchburg Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries. This is an organization that's been formed under the guidance of Counselor Sally Cragen, who's been helping us with our project funding. And if anyone is interested, we have sent out a pledge letter and a form, which you can find on the city's website under our meeting, at the end of our meeting, or you can listen to the recording and it's there. But you can also go to our email address, Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries, gmail.com. You'll find the pledge letter and you'll also find a pledge form. And so we're asking anybody that is interested in pledging. We're trying to open an account with the Community Foundation of North Central Massachusetts, which is requiring us to have at least $10,000 in our initial deposit before an account can be opened. And then we will be getting gathering donations and pledges as time goes on. So I just wanted to make that announcement.
May I make a suggestion?
Okay, sure.
You just made an announcement to the public.
Yeah.
How you employ. At every city council meeting, the council president, Anthony Zarella, makes announcements. Can we actually make what you announced here, have him do it at every city council meeting? I mean, give that information that you just relayed to the public, that he actually makes that same announcement at every single city council meeting.
Oh, I do know that he has made.
Yes, but the most recent council meeting, there was no announcement.
Okay, I didn't view the council meeting, so I don't know if he did or not, but I have heard him make the announcement.
Yeah, well, I had heard it also here, but I would say if you could do that at every single council meeting, yeah, really to emphasize the importance of this.
I will send him an email and ask him to do, I'll CC him and Sally.
Okay.
So that he gets the correct dialogue. Okay.
Thank you.
Council President Zarella. You have to bear with me while I write this down.
Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, so then we will go to the first item on the agenda, which is an update on the Forest Hill Abbey Mausoleum on the roof quotes. Does anybody, Jacqueline, either you or Nick, have anything that you can report on that?
Yes, so upon the recommendations of Petros and the Spencer Group,
Yeah.
I had one company come a few weeks ago and give us a quote, and another company came today and will be giving us a quote. The first quote is well within reason that we can absolutely facilitate this. So we're just waiting for the second quote here to see what they come in at.
So once you get the quotes, then you just decide which ones that whoever it is that you feel is best qualified to go through with, or you have to do another step.
Well, I believe they're both on our list that we can use.
Yeah, they're both on call
Yeah.
roofing companies.
Okay.
So as soon as we decide which one that we want to go with, all we do is write a notice to proceed. And then we book a PO for the amount, and then we can give them the okay to start.
Okay, all right. And do you think that we'll be able to get that done before the snow flies?
I hope so, but I've heard some rumors of snow next Friday, Black Friday. So
Well,
I don't think it'll happen. If snow happens on Black Friday, it won't happen before the snow flies. So we'll have to wait until the snow that does accumulate melts before they go out there and do the work. So we'll have to time it appropriately, obviously.
well, let's hope we don't have snow. And if we have snow, let's hope we don't have a lot of stuff. So it'll melt fast.
Yes. Usually the early season storms like this melt off before we get into like Christmas, New Year's.
Yeah.
So we'll have a couple of warm days, I'm sure, between now and the real snow that it'll melt so we can get the roofing company out there.
How long will the project take?
Probably only a couple hours. It's not extensive. It's just interim repairs to the roof to tide it over to next spring or until the actual project can move forward. We've got that fundraising effort that we've got to go through to raise the money to actually do the whole project. So it's just a stopgap measure, really just trying to seal it up for the winter months.
Okay.
Yeah, we have, I don't know if you went back and read any of our minutes, but, or watched the videos, but we've had this project going on for a while and we were awarded $175,000 to get the OPM with the project manager. And then we decided on a group to actually do the project, which is the Spencer Preservation Group. And so they've done a scope of work and all that stuff's been done. So we don't have the documentation.
They've come up with like a 25% design essentially.
Yeah.
So we've got to raise that money to complete the design and then go out to bid and do the construction documents and get a contractor on board there.
So the trustees are just concerned because we're coming into winter. We've been doing this for a year now. We haven't really moved the needle much. And, coming into winter now, so we need to secure the roof, tarp it or
Yeah.
patch it or do something to prevent as much water from coming inside as we can. So this $50,000 that we've appropriated or that the Spencer Group in Petros, the OPM, has given us that figure, thinking that it won't be more than that to do these repairs
Okay.
to get us through the winter months. And so that, but we have to come up with that money and we've spent contractors. So that's where we're at right
Do
now.
you have a ballpark to replace the roof?
The whole project, I believe was a like $2 or $2.5 million number. And then we kind of scaled that back based on that.
So that's just the
initial
roof
cost.
or it's a whole?
That's everything. That's the roof, that's the masonry repointing, repairing all the damage on the inside. So we've kind of parsed out the most important pieces, which are the roof and the exterior building envelope. And the number there is just over $1 million. So that's our target fundraising right now to get that exterior building envelope taken care of at least.
Yep.
And that'll stop the damage and decay from continuing. So that's the goal of the Friends of Forest Hill right now, to raise that $1 million or so to get that core work done.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Just, does the city insure their buildings? I think I've asked this before. In other words, is that mausoleum insured? Or is it, I know the city's bought self-insured, but I mean, as a building, it's city property, unique one, but I mean, is it insured?
I assume so, but I don't really know the answer to that question. I'd have to ask around.
So I'm just curious, if it is insured and we have damage, would that come under the insurance?
It's a good question.
Deterioration wouldn't, but if it was damaged in a storm, if you had insurance, they might cover some of that.
So I am on the board for the insurance here. And so all our buildings are insured, but we have $1 million deductible. So I'm not sure if that building specific is insured, but like Mr. McNamara said, it'd have to be damaged in a storm or a fire or something. And then we have to pay $1 million before we can get anything done.
so that's like the deductible, in other words.
Yes. And that's only that high because of the BF Brown fire and a bunch of other instances that happens, that then the MMA's insurance pretty much kicked Fitchburg out of it. So we had to go get.
But who's to say this damage on the inside or the roof, for that matter, wasn't caused by a storm? I mean, it's water damage on the inside, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I'm not.
It is, but it was kind of documented that this has been going on
Yeah,
since
I was gonna say that.
1970, so that would be insurance fraud if you tried to
Yeah.
pull that off.
And it's not a one-time damage problem. It's something that's been going on for the last 50 years. So if we had to put a claim in, I mean, I would think to any insurance company to say this damage was caused now, but we know, I mean, there's paper trails that, it hasn't been. Alex, join us at the table. Don't go sitting over in the corner.
Yeah, I don't think they'll cover neglect. So if you have a hole in your roof and water gets in and does damage, I don't know if they'd cover that.
Right, I mean, if a tree fell on it, let's say right now, that one of those big trees in the back, we'll use that as an example, fell on the roof and cracked the cement or something, that would be, an accident or damage from a storm or whatever. But I mean, the damage that we have now, I like I said, I'm not insurance for
It's been
it.
documented. The Sentinel Enterprise reported on this in the early 1970s.
Right, it's
From
newspaper clippings.
the newspaper accounts, of the damage, yeah.
So we wouldn't be able
No.
to issue, I mean, plus $1 million deductible,
Yeah.
that would be nice. We don't have to come up with that, get the rest of it done, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's definitely a building maintenance issue,
Yeah.
long-term building
Yeah.
maintenance issue.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one question? I'm sure that this has been done, but for the Friends of the Cemeteries, has that been legally set up as a 501c3?
So we're gonna talk about that, because that's the next item on the agenda, if you can just be patient,
Okay.
okay?
Because that will help you to get donations.
Yeah, So if we're all set with, agenda number one, anybody else have any other questions or comments? Michelle, are you all set?
Yep, I'm all set.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number two on the agenda, which is the $60,000 that we discussed for the appropriations. We had gotten an appropriation from the city, well, not from the city, but we're taking it out of the cemetery's accounts to do the water in section Q. Is that?
Yeah, I included that in your packets that the city council order 102-24, that it's for the water mitigation in section Q Memorial Gardens and to help with preparation in the new columbarium unit for $60,000. And on the next page, I included the total that's there right now is $59,536.70. As far as the drainage is concerned, yesterday they installed a catch basin with a drain that we could add more drainage around the columbarium area. Just waiting for engineering to let us know if the paving company was going to install that drainage or if we were going to do that. So just waiting to hear that.
I talked to Ryan yesterday. He spoke with Matt Haley from Lazaro. So they are willing to do the French drain in the columbarium area and then tie it into the new catch basin that was installed yesterday. They do want to try to get the paving work done first before the weather gets too cold, because they can do that excavation work even if it's a little bit cold or wet out. So they are planning to do it, and it'll get done this year before winter time at some point.
Okay, great, thank you.
So they're gonna I didn't hear the last part, tie it into the existing drainage.
They'll tie it into the catch basin that they installed yesterday.
Yeah.
So they installed a new catch basin in the columbarium area, piped it into an existing basin across the pathway. The goal there is to get that underground work within the pathway done before they pave, so they don't have to dig it up again. So now we've got a catch basin, that new section, any drainage can be tied right into that without having to dig up any of that pavement that goes
Okay,
down.
good. That's good to hear. Okay, anybody have any questions, comments on that?
And we're still being told by Lazaro that paving is going to happen this year. So unless we hear
Where are you
otherwise.
getting your paving material from? I thought the paving place is closed around November.
Usually they close early December. We've been told the first week of December is when they're closing this year.
This year, it's been warm, so they're able to work, yeah, I get that.
Sometimes if the weather stays warm, the plants will stay open further past that initial
That's good.
prediction date. In past years, we've seen them close as late as like December 20th. So if we get warm weather, they'll stay open.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. So item number 3. I have fundraising, so I just put this in here because we're gonna discuss the fundraising again, St. Joseph's Club and the Friends of Fitchburg Cemetery. So, I have spoken to George, you're gonna have to refresh my memory on this. So I have spoken
Don Tapley?
to Don Tapley. I spoke with him just the other day. He called me on November 18th again. The issue with that group is Don is the treasurer.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember the name of the president of St. Joseph's Club, but there is a president. So
It could be Chris Ledger, Chris Ledger worked for the DPW, yeah. So I think Chris, yeah.
okay,
I
so
think Chris Ledger, or one of the Ledgers, two brothers.
Craig.
What, Craig Ledger.
what is the other name?
Craig Ledger.
Craig Ledger.
Craig
Okay.
Ledger, yeah.
All right, so the conversation that I had with him was that. So he's been trying to reach this person and he hasn't had any success.
Oh, okay.
And he has told me that they will make a contribution, donation pledge. He does not know how much. He will not, he did definitely said it won't be the whole amount that they have in their account, which is roughly $8,000. The only question he had, and I know we talked about this, but I couldn't remember, was if the group that he's that St. Joseph Club is going to donate to the Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries has to be a 501c3.
Right.
If we can't prove that they're a 501c, then they cannot donate.
Oh. Wait,
So,
we cannot prove or they cannot prove?
no, in other words, we can't tell them this group is a 501c.
Yeah, right.
Here's our paperwork. They can donate because they need that tax exempt stuff. He's been going back and forth with the IRS, the tax people, and all of that to put this to bed since 2022. But the club closed in 2020. So 2022, the money's sitting in the bank. And so I thought when Sally was explaining it to us was that we're not opening up an account. Well, we are opening it up under the Friends Group, but we're opening it up through the Community Foundation.
Under their umbrella, yeah.
Under their umbrella of a
501c3.
Okay.
They become the
So-
fiscal agent.
Yes, they do.
Okay,
And they
so,
file all the paperwork.
They file that.
so the CF is the 5013C organization, correct?
It would have,
So that's where I'm confused. So let's say I'm donating money, who am I making my check out to?
Community Foundation.
Community
Community
Foundation.
Foundation, okay, so checks out to Community Foundation. Under that, they will put it under the account of the Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries, is that correct?
I would assume so. That's what we do with Rotary.
Okay. So account
So
would
checks are
be,
made out to community foundation and then they just go right into.
Yeah, then you just memo it.
right, you have to memo it so they know.
Yeah,
okay,
friends
to
are.
the Friends,
That's a memo to friends.
okay. Memo,
So that's gonna be challenging with St. Joseph's Club, because we were hoping that we'd be able to use that money to
Yeah.
get to that 10,000
Yeah.
mark so that we could create the account with Community Funds
Yes.
Foundation.
yeah,
But if they're saying that they need that certificate beforehand, then we need to hit that $10,000 mark before they even donate.
yes, exactly,
Wow, so we're in a little catch.
Well,
22.
the community has 501c3 status, if I'm understanding.
Yes.
correct. So you can still donate to the community foundation with that memo line. And then when you get to your 10,000, you get a separate account made for
exactly,
the friends.
Okay,
So I think, I want to confirm that, but as long as they have 501c3 status and they're a legitimate charity, donate to them, take a tax deduction if that's your one of the things you want
yes,
to do.
that's what he's looking for, is that tax exempt. He needs a tax exemption or whatever it's called, paperwork.
Well, they're required because of their tax status, they
Right.
can only do certain things with their money.
Yes, and that's what they've been having trouble with because it's, from talking to him, it's my understanding that he's the treasurer. He needs at least he and the president to vote on this or to decide what they're gonna do with this money. Because they want to distribute it out to different organizations, I guess. And they want to clear their books.
They want to wind up business, yeah.
Yeah, because they haven't been in operation.
But I wonder whether actually it's up to the president and the treasurer, whether it should be the board of directors of things.
I guess
That makes that decision.
it's a little vague. I can't seem to get
Yes,
a clear picture of what's actually going on there. It seems like he's having a hard time gathering these people together to make the decision.
Mhm.
But this money's $8,000 been sitting in that account for all this time now.
yeah.
And I guess, I don't know what the ramifications of that is. Do they have to file a tax thing every year? I don't know. Okay, even though the club is defunct?
As long as they have money and they're legally existing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, and then just so what I'd like to tell him is just what we're discussing. The Community Foundation holds the 5013C tax status, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then they could make their check out to the Community Foundation within the memo to the Friends of Fitchburg
Yeah,
Cemetery.
for the benefit of Friends of Cemetery, yeah.
Benefit.
And
Okay,
is there someone at the Community Foundation that we can confirm all of that with?
yes, we've, Sally and I have talked to Steve Adams, and then there's a woman by the name of Erin. I don't have the information, Erin and Megan. So the three of them met with us when we first went to speak to them. I went myself during the summer months, but she just kind of gave, I was looking more for grant funding, and she was gonna send along different things, but she didn't think that there was anything under the heading of grant money other than economic development that we could apply for. And then Sally Cragen, who's the city councilor at large, was, when we made a plea at the city council meeting, she approached me and said that she would help us then, because trustees can't do this.
Right.
We have to be, because we're technically employees of the city, so we can't do the fundraising portion of it. So she just, along with some of her friends, Andy Lepasti, Bernie Schultz is a city councilor, Ward 1 councilor, Eunice Halbedell, and then some of the other members, Jacqueline and I met at the Historical Society with these people. And so we've used them as our friends group,
Mhm.
but we don't have a spokesperson other than me and Sally, more or less. So we approached the foundation and that's what they told us.
Okay,
This is how to proceed. Because we thought the group had to set up the 5013C. But the foundation is that organization.
Well, Jim raises a very interesting point. He says that there's nothing stopping people from making out checks to the community foundation earmarked for the friends of.
Well, I think that's kind of been where the,
But Sally said no one should be making out checks now.
right,
See, that's-
so we sent out a pledge letter, I have it here, someplace. Oh, here it is, so we sent out this pledge letter. Here, you can read that, and then she sent out a pledge form. You can get all of this on our website, Jim, if you wanna. I don't have the pledge form, but
yeah.
they're attached, and
I mean, I would say ideally, if you want to control your own destiny, Friends should be their own 501c3.
Yes.
But right now, all of that takes time and money, so they might as well use the community foundation. Because the problem with it is optics, right? So it's going to confuse people
that's what's happening.
that, oh, you're donating to this, but it's really for something else, and it makes them a little skeptical. So,
Well, we discussed that, and please, anybody, if I'm misspeaking, speak up. We discussed all of that. And because we don't have really a designated group. Years ago, there was a group called the Friends of Fitchburg Historic Cemeteries, which I was a member of. And we had a lot of people that were members, were about 30 members. And we had our own, we didn't have a 503C because we didn't want to do that, but we had a president, treasurer, secretary, the whole thing. This group is kind of in name only, if I could say that. And we're just asking the public, her next step is to ask or to address a letter like that to corporations,
yeah.
banks, the bigger contributors to the city, and see if they would at least pledge. So she's saying that she has, at our last meeting, we were like,
So IC Credit Union is doing something where they're asking their members to nominate their favorite charity. And then whoever gets the most votes are going to give some money to it. So you could, to your point, George, you could ask the council president,
Yes.
could you announce that at the city council meeting and ask people to nominate Friends of the Cemeteries as their favorite charity with IC Credit Union, and then when it comes, if they were to win, and when it comes to time, then you could say, look, you just gotta make the donation to Community Foundation. You know, it might be $2,500, I don't
No,
know.
but still something that's good,
So it just gives more publicity to
very
that.
good, that should be done,
Well,
these announcements, yeah.
we have been trying, I mean, I've been making an announcements, and then Nick and I addressed the city council, not for the Friends group, but for the project itself. Jacqueline and I went on Barbara and Yu's show to kind of get the word out. We can advertise on FATV, those little advertisement things. We could do that. When I talked to Ann Bisbee about that, she said that was possible. I don't know if I heard she's not there anymore, but I mean, so we can do that kind of advertising to get it out for the public. But Sally's thought process was to get the pledges. So you got a letter, you send your pledge form in, I'll pledge $50 for the next 2 years. So now she wants to see, can I get that pledge up to 10,000? And then I'm asking you, okay, now you write your check out. And once the checks come in, then we can set up this account for $10,000 with the foundation. And that's kind of like where we're at right now, but it seems to be just not really moving forward.
How much do we have in pledges so far, isn't it?
She says we have about $2,750 in private donations or pledges right now. But people are pledging $100 for 2 years, $25. We've got one pledge for $500, another pledge for $250, but that's first year, second year, so $1,000 for the $500 pledge, 500 for the. So it's going to take us a couple. I mean, it's like. Just let me finish. But this project is just so incredibly slow because.
Or could it be accelerated by having people, instead of pledge, they pledge, but have actually to make out checks to the community, whether the community foundation be willing to receive checks made out to them, earmarked for the Friends of the Pittsburgh Cemetery, whether they be willing to take those checks now, receive checks from people who are willing to make out checks right now, instead of pledging. Let's make out the check and send it to community foundation, and if they're willing to keep a record of what checks they received toward our goal of 10,000 for them to be our fiscal agent. I would say that they have to be willing to receive these checks now.
Yes, so to answer that question, because we asked it, Sally and I, is because the Community Foundation takes a small fee.
Yes, they do.
To handle the account. And if we have, say, $5,000 in there, that small fee will eat up that $5,000. That's why they start with a line item of $10,000, because over time, pledges will still keep coming in. So the 10,000 will grow. Their fee will be taken off of that. I mean, this is the way I'm understanding it, correct me if I'm wrong. So now it's 13,000, their fee comes off 13,000, then it's 15,000, their fee, right, would come off 15,000. So as the account grows.
So it's a percentage fee.
Their percentage fee. So to start off with a couple of $1,000, holding it on for 5 or 6 months until the account builds up, the fee would eat away at the account principal. Is that what I'm understanding? Okay. So that's why they say you have to have $10,000 to start the account. And then they manage all the tax forms. They take care of all of that. So the Friends group wouldn't do it, trustees, the city doesn't have to do it. And then when we've gotten the money that we need, they will cut the check for whatever the project is. So that's kind of where we're at. So she's been working on it and I've been working with her. Any of you who want to help us, please raise your hand and let us know, because we can't really do it alone. We need a group of people to do this.
Well, I was asked, I don't know whether you know Barbara Edsel, with the Historical Society.
Barbara, I know of her.
Barbara Edsel.
Yeah.
She posted something within the past week asking, I said it had to do with the mausoleum. There's a subject of the mausoleum came up on the Historical Society page.
Okay,
And I mentioned actually the trustees or the friends of the Fisher cemeteries is trying to actually restore that mausoleum. And I mentioned the Fitchburg Friends of Fisher Cemetery. And she said, well, how does one donate? How does one actually contribute? She wanted to make a donation.
yes, I've had a lot of people that have that want to make donations.
They want to know how. They want to know how to
Yes.
how to do it. Yeah.
Yes, and the how is right now, make the pledge.
Make the pledge, yeah.
And then when the time comes, like Sally's been saying, when the time comes, we will come back to you for the actual donation.
Donation.
Yes, Andy.
Just a question. Yeah, I don't know if it's kosher or not. You may be able to answer this. Funeral homes, funeral directors, are they eligible? Can they give? Because I know
They can give to the Friends group. They can't give directly to the cemetery, but the Friends group is a separate group.
that they can give.
They can give to
Without
the
conflict
Friends
of
group.
interest.
It's not a conflict, but they cannot directly do with the cemetery.
Okay.
So that leads me back to when I spoke with Liz Murray.
Murphy.
Murphy, sorry, Liz Murphy. And she gave us that list of all of these, Crocker Foundation, Wallace Foundation. And I tried to find them online, like who's the contact person for these groups? We know that the Crocker Foundation just donated money to Crocker Field. We know that, Rollstone Bank just made a big contribution to $250,000 to, so we've kind of done all of that, but I don't know these people. I don't know the correct people to ask for. So the next round of letters, pledge letters, we're gonna go out to corporations, banks, business people, funeral homes, people who have contributed before to this. Now, I've said it again at many meetings. We've talked to the legislature, talked to Cronin's office, talked to Kushmerik's office. Next, talked to Lori Trahan's office. And I hate to say this, but in all reality, this is not a feel-good project, getting that mausoleum repaired. However, it is the duty of the trustees to do that. It's the duty of the city to do that. And it's been deteriorating over the years, slowly. I mean, when are you gonna start?
Does it have any historical status?
We tried that form. We've been before the Historical Commission numerous times. And Michelle did a whole workup on the preservation group, grants and all that. The problem with grant money for preservation and historic is that that window that costs $100 is now $1,000. So you have to work within their scope
Rules, yeah.
and their laws and the kind of building material you can use and all. So we've kind of discussed that numerous times in this committee and with the Historical Commission, with Ellen DiGeronimo, who's sat before us here, and we've gone to their board. And we chose not to do that at this point. Once the mausoleum is repaired, I think that would be a good avenue at that point, because the repair work's done. And then it's the maintenance of it. Maybe we can get grant money to keep it going. The perpetual care account was dipped into many administrations ago at some point. So we have no money in that. $3,000 or something like that. So that's where we're at this point. So,
That's good background, thank you.
yeah. So, right now, so I do want to just be clear, when I speak to John again,
you'll tell them that they can give to a organized 501c3.
Yeah.
The community foundation.
Okay,
They will hold the funds for the benefit of the Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries.
okay,
We just need to confirm with the community foundation that we can have those checks written to them prior to opening that account.
yeah, okay.
They probably have some, if they allow it, they probably have some time period, like between the submission of the first check and the opening of that account. They probably don't want to hold on to that check and not cash it. They probably want to cash it, keep it in a fund somewhere, but I don't know what their time requirements are. So, yeah.
Well, that's why Sally was saying that, if she gave the time frame 6 to 9 months for the pledges, because once we got enough pledges coming in, even if it was like around $5,000 or $6,000, it wasn't quite the 10, would they consider letting us open the account because we've got the ball going?
Yeah.
And, they see we're serious about doing this, and then we'll keep the campaign going. But we haven't gotten there yet either.
I mean, if that's the case, it would be helpful to understand how much the St. Joe's Club really is willing to
They
donate.
won't tell me.
If they want to split it into two and they're planning to give $4,000, we're in that $6,000 range. Adding that together is what we've already got. So
Okay, so confirm with the community foundation on the availability. To hold the funds, right?
Yes. As we work towards the 10,000 number,
I'm sorry.
as we work towards the 10,000 number, yeah.
And also just want to mention that even though Sally's been, very graciously helping us, she's got her hands full with a lot of her other projects, that she's got going. So she's kind of started this off, but I don't know how much more she'll stay involved with it, but, we'll just keep going,
Yeah.
plugging along. So I would take any suggestions or,
Question.
yes, Andy, I'm sorry.
Okay, you had mentioned, again, $3,000 is still in, because over the
We
years,
can't touch that money, I don't think, right, Jacqueline?
it's a maintenance fund, isn't it? Or what exactly was that fund?
It was, go ahead. You explain.
It was, like a perpetual care. That's easy to say.
Perpetual care, so it's a
For specifically for the mausoleum.
Sure.
Yeah, we
Okay.
could spend the interest.
So
Yeah.
my question is, if sending in checks, okay, and we're in a quandary as far as where do we put them, that we, whatever. Why couldn't we put them into that particular fund? It's already set up,
Well,
and you're already 3,000 ahead.
I think the goal is to have that 501c3 status from the community foundation so that corporations and individuals willing to donate can get the tax benefit of that.
Well, yeah,
That's an extra
well,
motivation.
I'm just saying is if,
Plus the city can't take it.
I didn't want to say
Yeah.
that, but
Very important.
if it goes into a fund that is accessible, even though because that's
I
what.
thought it had to be cleared by us if they were gonna take it.
Well,
It's specifically earmarked for the mausoleum, which comes
Well-
under our jurisdiction, right?
it's like the Rosa Brown Fund. We have a fund under the name of Rosa Brown who with $500 principal, and over more than 100 years, it only has $3,000 in it. So that $3,000 is specific to her grave. This mausoleum company that built the mausoleum set this fund up with $100,000 in perpetual care. And 100 years later, it has no money in it because over the years, money has been used for other things. So that's why the mausoleum doesn't have any money.
Okay, but and maybe I'm missing something here, but
Well,
it's already a fund that's set up.
it's Well,
You know, which, if we, we're looking for some place to put the money until we get the, magic number so we can, apply it, to get that, tax break, for,
And the donors,
for the donor, commercial bonus. And, I mean, what's to stop the city from taking it from whatever we set up?
they can't take it from the community foundation.
So that's a good idea, and the question was posed to the auditor's office, can we use this as a holding place until we have that $10,000? You can't do that, if it goes in, it stays in, so it wouldn't be able to be converted over to the community foundation for their tax status.
So they're saying set up a separate fund.
The best way to do this is to go through their community foundation or the Friends Group, set up their own tax exempt. When they did COGS, Crocker, thank you. They went through the community foundation and that seemed to work in the best interest of everyone. So we can't put it in there and take it out to say, here, we're now going to give it to this. The city can't do that. That was posed to the auditor.
I'm just curious. 'cause
Yeah,
like
no,
I
it's a
say,
good thought, but no.
It's a maintenance fund. This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, it's a good thought and we just cannot.
Yeah, we did ask that, and she said she could set up a separate little account under the cemetery's department's account for that money, but then it's city money.
yes, right.
So if it's city money,
It's
it
touching.
can be
It's
used
removable.
for anything.
Yes.
But then who gives the okay for the city to take it out?
They don't need an okay,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, but we have no jurisdiction even though it's.
Well, we trustees, our only goal is to be overseers of our monies that come into the cemetery department under the DPW commissioner. The administration, who's ever in administration at the time, has the right to use money from other departments that is just sitting there doing nothing. And this money would be just sitting there doing nothing because we don't have $2.5 million to say, okay, now we're gonna do our project.
Well, the money will be sitting there doing nothing because the city did nothing over these years.
Well-
And that's why we're trying to collect it to get back on track.
Mr. Adams made a suggestion that we sue the city
Yeah. Because.
for that $100,000 because it was unlawfully taken. And it should never have been done. And he thought we should try to investigate. And as I said in the past meetings, I've spent 4 hours at the Historical Society going through the books from 1916 to 1926. And I couldn't find anywhere, any place in a finance committee meeting or city council meeting or under the cemetery budget that money was, I couldn't find it.
Why would they even have to announce it? Like you say, if the city has the right to just step in and say we had $10,000 and just take it, because it's in,
Everything goes into the general fund, right? So it's the way government works. So you may have a thing that says in your account where we're crediting you with $50,000, but you don't have a separate account where you're earning interest on it and you can spend it.
That I
The city's money, they spend cash for whatever they need it for and.
I understand that, but I guess, we were looking for a paper trail where this money went over the years. And if they can just come right in, why do they need a paper trail?
It's not the general practice, like we have the perpetual care account.
That's today.
Right. There are state laws protecting our money that we can't touch it, we can only spend the interest. There are accounts that, this is just for this. And so there are different laws that are in effect than way back in the 20s where we can't even get a paper trail on what happened to that money. You're talking, maybe during the Great Depression, they said, well, you know what, the money's here, we
Let's
need,
just do-
we need to do this. So there probably isn't a paper trail, so I don't think it's viable to say, let's sue the city, because you can't prove it one way or the other.
Right, exactly.
You can
And
prove the money was there, but where did it
That was my
disappear?
point.
I think you're just gonna be paying a lot of money to lawyers.
Well, it costs $100,000 to get one.
well, and quite honestly, it's irrelevant right now. I
Right.
mean, that was then, this is now.
Oh, that was my point. It's-
Yeah, I mean,
it's-
you know, if you want to go and research, Andy, have
It's
it.
going, like she just said, you don't have a paper trail.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't litigate it
So-
because,
And to Jacqueline's point, as time has gone on, new laws come into place to protect things like this. So, yeah, and documentation has to be there, which, you know, they didn't have back then, so we don't know. So anyway, that's where we're at. So that's our next, event with Sally is she's hosting, a couple of events. I know Jacqueline had them, we'll get to them in her report. Again, to bring awareness to the public, but she also now wants to draft a letter for, like I said, the corporations, banks, the higher institutions, people that have foundations that, you know, she knows of, and I don't know, maybe we can't get, I don't, unless you have any other suggestions, Alex, I'm at a loss, but that's where we're going from here. So maybe, I know that John Zilberella just donated $100,000 to the OWL project at the library in the name of his sister. I'm very close to that family, his mother and father and his sister. I did their hair for years and years and years and watched their kids grow up. And so, I mean, I'm just using his name as an example. So there's an individual who has a research development company who gives to the city, gives to donations to different organizations. So those are the people that we're trying to maybe ask now for funding, you know, whatever they can give. If somebody could donate that, that would push us, you know, further.
Do we know the philanthropists who are?
We have that list,
Do we
you,
have a list of all the philanthropists?
yes, but I can't, the websites that she had given me,
Yeah,
that I tried to go online, for instance, the Wallace Foundation
yes.
is in Boston. Some man, no connection to the Wallaces that I'm aware of, is the guy that I mean, I don't know how to approach those people. So we need a letter. So if somebody would like to help us draft
All right.
some sort of a ask letter,
I could help you with that.
okay, that would be great, because that's what we need. We need to put the right words on paper so that people see the value of what we're trying to do here.
What will be confusing to any prospective donor, we've already talked about it, is that it'd be better if you could say the friends of such and such of the cemetery as opposed to community foundation.
Right, that's why we're using that as the website. We have a Facebook page, Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries, and then we have a Gmail account.
Do you
So
have a domain name?
I don't know anything about that.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay, me and computers, no. All right, thank you, Joe.
I don't think
But there is
there's
no
any
website. There's no-
I wouldn't think so.
There's no website.
I don't, and you want that for like a website, you mean?
Yeah, whenever you get, if you're gonna sign up for an email address, you should get a domain name associated with, so no one else can take it. So you would have a domain name that said www.friendsofFitchburgcemeteries.com.
Well, we did have that when we had the first original Friends of Fitchburg Historic Cemeteries. We did have a young man who was on our board, who was very good with computers and stuff, and he did set up a web page for us and a domain name. It's
I'll check
not,
and see if it's still.
it's not active, I don't believe anymore, because it was attached to his name. And we had to pay for that.
Yeah, domain names cost money. Depending where you go, they can cost you, $10 a year or $100 a year. So
And then we didn't have anybody to run it, so he ran it. So that was kind of his forte. So he did that for us, but,
Okay. I'll do a little homework.
okay, that would be helpful. For website, great, okay. All right, I think we Any more questions on the fundraising? But I will get back to the St. Joseph's Club and I will contact the Community Foundation and confirm if that's gonna be exactly what they, want us to do. Okay, so the next on the agenda, item number 4, is a report on the expendable account for the cemetery, and I think that's Jonathan Davis.
I didn't know exactly what you were looking for, but I thought you were looking for the expendable, non-expendable for perpetual care.
Yeah,
I gave you the rundowns of what the account balances are.
yeah, kind of what I wanted, because we are coming to the end of the year, and I know things will be changing, come budget season again, so. So if you want to go over that for us, quickly, that would be,
Sure, I can give you the totals. For the water mitigation in Columbarium area, we have $59,536.70.
where am I looking? On
In this packet.
Yeah. Oh, on the end,
Oh, it's the beginning,
Yeah.
it's right after the order number. Right there.
oh, this one here, okay, oh, the 60 grand, okay.
Sure. And then for the perpetual care, the expendable, that's the interest that you're allowed to spend. The current availability is $78,526.37.
Okay, 78, 26, 37, right?
And you're saying of that total, we get to spend the interest earned on that?
Okay, so the total would be on your next page, which would be the cemetery perpetual care. And by state statute, it goes in this account and we're not allowed to spend it, we're just allowed to spend the interest. So the amount of money that is in that perpetual care non-expendable is the 1.5 million.
And who's responsible for investing that money?
The city has a specific,
Okay, so that's another little, another little,
Yeah.
Right, because
Go on.
is it earning 0.5% or is it earning 4.5%?
well, in speaking to the former city auditor, Calvin Brooks, he directed me to the treasurer's office, and the treasurer at the time was
and
Ann, and I had a conversation with her about that, because I feel like why are the accounts not making any money? They're in very low interest-bearing accounts, they're in mutual funds, and they're held by Rollstone Bank. There is a broker there who manages the city's accounts, all their trust funds, all their manageable funds, and they're supposedly in safe accounts. So they don't make a lot of interest. They're not in high yield interest accounts. They're not in, what's the word? Like they're in money markets, they're in bonds, whatever. They're a mixed match of different. And our treasurer doesn't have anything to do with that. They hold the funds and they manage the funds. So my question was.
So that's the problem, right? A bank is not going to constantly find you the highest earning money. It's just not, right? Because they're using your money. So that's something to think about. So a CD at Rollstone Bank right now will probably pay you 4.6%.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Why can't we take some of this money out of these accounts? Put them in these what is this man getting paid to do? Is he not getting a fee?
So the question would be, why can't this account be segregated at Rollstone Bank and put into a high yielding account and left there with somebody having some say?
I think there's a committee that manages these trust funds, and you might know a little bit more about this than I do, Alex, but I think that committee would be the one to approach and try to ask for that to happen. I don't know if that committee has the appetite to parse out specific accounts and have those go to different investments. But maybe it's worth an
Isn't
ask.
that Mrs. Bogdan, isn't she the president, or she was the president of
Oh,
that?
yeah, I'm not sure who the president is.
Okay, so she was, but I don't know who it is now. We've had that conversation also. So that board oversees the trust funds. It's not just one, so I'm just gonna take this Roosevelt Brown account, as I said, so it had $500 principal, it's got about $3,700 in it, interest over 100 years. I mean, I'm not a math person, but
You don't have to be.
it's like, what happened here? Why can't we take some of those funds and just put them in something that's not dangerous, I'm not finding the word, that I'm wanting. here.
Risky.
Yeah, I wouldn't put them in like the stock market.
No, but what you're saying, like a CD, somebody has to look at it, it rolls over, the interest keeps growing, but then again, my problem would be this. Who's gonna take that money? Is that money accessible to the city?
Well, it sounds, well, I don't know. It
No.
sounds like they're segregated. It sounds like they're being managed by a bank, but that doesn't mean they should be the ones who make all the decisions. I mean, if they're acting as a fiduciary, they should be putting it into the highest yielding accounts available. I just don't know if they do. You'd have to talk to whoever's has oversight responsibility to find out if there's a report that says, well, this is what we did with all of the city's, trust money.
I just wanted to say I did the math. If we are allowed to put them in the money in a CD at 4%,
Yes.
it would be $60,000.
Right.
Wow.
How much? John?
60,000 for a
Yeah.
year.
Right,
So the highest yield with the lowest risk would be the optimum goal.
Well, so you would have a bank put it into anything that's guaranteed. Now, the banks, $1 million is not going to be guaranteed. You'd have to put it in treasuries or something to have no risk, but a bank should be able to manage that. We don't want you to put it in the stock market, but if you're offering CDs, why don't you put our money into a CD at
well, this
4.6?
is where, I mean, I just think, just from a layperson's point of view, if you're looking to grow your account, wouldn't you be more apt to look at the accounts on a monthly basis or even a quarterly basis? I know when I had accounts with my financial advisor and they kept going down and down and down. My question is what's happening? Get it out of there, do something with it. I mean, you're collecting a fee, but I'm not making any money. So that's how I feel with this stuff. It's even the city's money, it's the city's money. Why wouldn't you be looking at it more openly and say, get somebody in there that goes over these accounts and then, this account's been sitting in this fund for 5 years and it hasn't made any money. Let's move it out of
Do they
there.
get an annual report
I have no idea. That's not our,
or where would it go?
it would go to this trust, the city trust fund. There's an oversight board. I forget what it's called, Alex. You probably have it there. They oversee this, all
I'm
the,
finding out right now.
yeah, all these accounts. I mean, that's another way to make a bit of money for,
Certainly, it's worth asking the
It's worth
question.
investigating,
Yes, asking the question, and are we limited with where we put this with state statute, with the perpetual care account? You know what I mean? There's some questions that you need to ask, and it might lead you in a different direction. But certainly, it's worth the ask, I think.
It's called Board of Commissioners of Trust Funds. The current commissioners are John Thompson, who's the chair. That's John Thompson. He's the superintendent of schools. He's the chair.
oh, he's the chair this year? Okay,
And then Josiah Richardson, Sophia Boxer.
okay, so the chair is Mr. Thompson. Well, I don't know if that's something that our board should be concerned about, but I'm just thinking that where we have these accounts and, even the non-expendable, the perpetual care account, I mean, it's only making $70-something thousand on it, right? Is that, that's the interest? That's 78,000?
I can follow up with John Thompson and just ask some of these questions and see if he has any of the answers. If he does, great. If he's the type of guy that's gonna find the answers too, if he doesn't have them, so.
Could we get if they are sending us reports? I mean, I get reports, John Q. Citizen here. They, they're sending us annual, monthly, whatever reports. Could this committee get copies of those?
Okay, I can ask him for that.
We do have, not we do, the city does have a lot of trust funds out there. There's a lot of them out there.
That's kind of what I would like to know, because that will help put it in perspective.
There's a lot. I mean, like the Crocker Field has a fund. I think when I looked at it, there's a bunch of funds out there, trust funds and funds that,
But I'm just talking ours,
yeah,
just what pertains to us.
okay.
I'd like to see the report,
So I'll ask John, if he has any annual reports, that involve the perpetual care fund. I'll ask him if there's any options for investing that money and how they make.
what's it invested in now? When it rolls over, where are they putting it?
Are you gonna meet with them or have a phone call?
I was planning to just shoot him an email and see if I can set up a time to talk to him on the phone. Happy to schedule a more broad meeting if.
Well, I'd be interested in joining you if you don't mind. It's
No, not at all.
you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to set that up with John. What I'll do is I'll shoot him an email. I'll ask him if he's got some dates and times, and then we can kind of coordinate via email, and then
Yeah,
I'll set up a go-to meeting and we can all join at one point.
perfect, yeah. It'd be good to have the background. What I'd be curious is just to understand the whole process of how our trust funds and trust fund investments managed, wherever they are. If it's Rollstone Bank, that's fine, but how does that process work? And then give us some idea of whether there's any flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'll do that. I think I have your email address from the recent
I
agenda.
have it here.
James at JP Mac.
No, because I just met James today.
Okay.
I had no idea he was even,
Here, so
had even been, you just take out a photocopy of it and it had all the information there. Okay, so, all right, I lost my place, hold on. All right, Jacqueline, you have, you can finish.
Oh, the only last one that I had there, that I thought you wanted to look at was the paving balance of $77,095. I wasn't sure what you were looking for.
What is,
So that's for the pathway paving.
oh, that's the money that was set aside?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and it's still there, you haven't used that.
So where do these funds come from? Are they appropriated by the city? Or they come from other sources?
They come from,
Correct. I believe this is leftover from a free cash appropriation
Was that for the expansion?
for the expansion for the Memorial Gardens area.
Correct.
That's the area that you see directly across the street from Memorial Middle School where the wall was recently constructed and it was leveled out.
Yeah.
So we've constructed some pathways there. They're in gravel right now. So we've got to get them paved and we got to finish the landscaping. And Jacqueline's been selling a lot of plots in that area recently.
So that was gonna be one of my questions. So like, is it like a private cemetery? You have to buy a plot?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's the source of your perpetual care money?
A percentage of the fee goes to perpetual care. So there's a few different fees that are baked into that overall cost for a plot. So a certain amount goes to perpetual care, a certain amount goes to like
The sale of
the
lots
sale of lots.
and then the
graves.
opening. Yeah.
and all those prices, we just had a price increase, but all those prices are on the website under under the cemetery department. You have,
Yes, I'll grab
rules
his
and-
email from you and I'll give him some information.
yeah, you can get all of that, and then we did decide that as a group, as a body, that every couple of years we would review our prices, because we hadn't increased our prices for a very, very long time. We made a substantial increase in our prices a few years back, and then we decided 2 or 3% increase. Was it every couple of years or something, or every year?
It wasn't a percentage, it was based on, the last one was based on how much did our prices go up as
Right.
far as,
Materials.
yeah,
Like the vaults and,
yeah,
Yeah.
labor cost,
Labor cost, yeah.
there was a lot that went into
Yeah.
what we were, as well as trying to stay, within the medium of all the local
I was gonna
cemeteries.
ask that, yeah.
Yeah, there is a price comparison, but yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, some of them have sales. I mean,
well,
Yeah,
St.
50%
Bert's
off
just had a sale because
Yeah.
they had lots that they were trying to sell off, but we do that too, don't we? No, we don't do sales, okay.
It's not, no.
Well, this cemetery, as you may know, is kind of like on its last leg. So that's the other issue that we're facing is we need an expansion of our cemetery. We own the land across the street. We've had a design plan done up by Ray Dunn, this landscaping architect, and presented it to the group. We got pretty much to the end of that, and then that was put on hold with the design plan and all. And then we also,
so was there an estimate as to what it would take to turn it into?
yes, we had like a guesstimate number,
Yeah.
I should say, not a hard number
Yeah.
really, because that was 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, but
I can send you the proposed
Yeah, that's
master
a-
plan, so you can just take a look at what what they were thinking.
And then we scaled it back to just doing the first phase because it looked like over $10 million.
Oh, yeah.
So the first phase, we scaled it back to just say, well, let's just get the first phase done. But Jacqueline and the DPW commissioner, they've been working in our cemetery. So right now, I don't, how many available sites do we have, would you say roughly?
I'm rough guess 600, because I really haven't
It's
counted
about
how many I
300.
sold in the new area
It was
yet.
about 3 something or 2 something. So anyway, the Memorial Garden area is our newest area. We have a Connor area, Clifton and Rollstone, but we think, we don't know for sure until we start doing boreholes. It could be filled with ledge,
Yeah.
which is our problem, but then you can't bury people on rock. I guess we could, I don't know.
No,
But that particular cemetery is our only active burial cemetery now, and we're running out of space. So the mausoleum has 127 open spots that we could sell, but we can't sell them because of the condition of the, it hasn't been condemned, it's not in that, it hasn't gotten to that point. So you can still go in there, people go in there, they have loved ones in there. We held a concert there this past fall.
Do you ever do, I don't know what the word for it is. I'm a parishioner at St. Joseph's, and they have a small chapel they call the Pieta. And so no one goes to a grave anymore. Because I think they probably had some accidents and decided it wasn't worth it. So the committal is basically you go to this Pieta, you have your final service, everybody leaves, and then they do the actual burial. So I didn't know if the mausoleum was intended to be used for something like that, or.
Well, it does hold about 200 people in the hall of it. It's quite large. Have you ever been in it?
I have not. I'd love to see
Oh,
it.
you should.
But you could think about using it for that. Like in the winter months, you really want to be standing out, and
Well, Jacqueline and her crew take care of all of that. I mean,
well, way back when, like it was built in the 20s, the 30s or 40s, they would hold in the wintertime some service,
yeah,
and then the bodies would be held in our tomb.
yeah.
It's not safe now, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So, and it hasn't been used in that capacity. And until, it's aesthetically fixed, that wouldn't even be an option. And it's not open to the general public, just to the people who are entombed in the mausoleum.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also have the issue to deal with of, we're non-denominational. St.
Yep.
Joe's is Catholic. So there's different rituals that are done at the grave with different denominations. So we couldn't, well, unless we change everything, we try to be compassionate with every religion and their beliefs. So there are a lot of traditions that are done graveside.
And they
that
still want that.
We
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to honor that,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'm not suggesting that you would mandate it just as an option, you know, if it's, you know, in the middle of winter, people might say, well, I'd rather do it inside. But I get your point, you don't really have a facility that's
No,
decent enough to do that.
right.
When that mausoleum's repaired, you know, that's a direction we could, or an offering we could make to people,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on that particular topic? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to, just a recap, Jacqueline. I know we usually ask it in January, but I thought maybe you could just give us a recap of what has been covered.
Could I possibly do that in January? I don't have anything composed.
Oh, you don't?
No, I didn't know what you meant. I thought you were going over something.
Oh, I thought it didn't I send you an email? I thought I sent an email. Oh, you were on vacation. Did you get it?
I don't think so.
Oh, you didn't get it then because
No.
your office reply came back that you were out. And I said, I want to give you enough time to gather the information.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
Okay, well, we can table that.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need a motion to accept the superintendent's report?
No, she didn't give it yet. That wasn't a report. I know I used the word report on the expendable. Oh, well, I guess we can, sorry. I didn't mean it as a report that we needed to vote on, but let me do that, yeah, number 4. Okay, so I need a motion.
Make a motion, we accept
Okay, motion.
as read.
I second the motion.
Okay, second by George. All in favor, say aye. Okay, none opposed, so that report passes.
As part of projects for 2024, I mean, the columbarium area is definitely a big priority project that we've got to finish. So the drainage work is underway now. Pathways should be paved. So the next step would be to get that columbarium area constructed. So that's ordering the actual columbarium units, pouring concrete foundations for them, and then doing the final surface restoration. So landscaping, some patio pathways, some benches, landscaping. That's probably going to be the biggest project, I'd say, of 2024. Other than that, it would be great to get underway with the design of the expansion, but without funding, that's not going to be really possible. Same with mausoleum. It'd be great to take that next step, but we're kind of in a holding pattern until funding becomes available. So those two on hold. What we could start looking at is that area that you mentioned over by Rollstone, Mount Elam, and Clifton, that little corner. So we've got to get a better handle on what's underground there. In order to do that, I would suggest doing some sort of like ground penetrating radar or soil borings
She said that, right?
to get a profile on the bedrock there, see how much depth we have to work with, and then we can start the design of that. That's probably going to, if the bedrock is where we think it is, that's going to require a contractor to come in and do the majority of the work, because they're going to need to hammer that rock out of the way so that we can install the vaults there that we're looking to install.
Let me ask you though about that, because once you start removing all of that bedrock, aren't you gonna get groundwater coming off that hill? I mean, that is on a slope as it is.
I mean, that slopes down to the Memorial Gardens area that we just installed a ton of drainage in. So we'll have to monitor all that very closely, but I think the drainage that we installed in that Memorial Gardens area is robust. I mean, that should be able to handle all of the groundwater from that area. It's kind of a bowl that funnels down into that new expansion area. So what we did install though is pretty substantial, and it's all tied into that culvert there. That runs, it's the sand brick culvert, runs underneath Electric Ave, then Forest Hill, then Nicodemus Field, and then dumps out into Park.
Yeah, well, we've had a very dry year too, so we haven't had a lot of water, water table's so low right now, but I mean, you can't count on that forever.
But we did have, last summer, we had a very wet year, a lot of really intense rains. There was some washouts because that Memorial Gardens area is still under construction, but we didn't have major standing water issues.
Okay.
With the exception of the one area where we just installed some drainage today or yesterday. So I think what we installed there is working well.
Okay, all right. I know, I see you guys over there working all the time. Does anybody else have any questions they wanna? Comments? No? Okay,
Well,
I guess.
I think I've asked you before, but do we have a time frame as far as when we're gonna run out of grave space? I mean, how many years left do we have before we are gonna run out of space at the existing cemetery, right? As far as, if you had an estimate,
It would be a total estimation,
yeah, just an estimate,
5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years.
And that would be a stretch at 7, I think.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be closer to 5.
Yeah, 5.
If we have 600 graves on hand, we sell an average of 100 a year,
Yeah.
that's 6 years. If we can get the expansion over at the corner done, that'll add approximately 200 or 300 graves, I think was the last estimate that we put together. But that's only getting you another couple of years.
Right.
If we're really talking about expanding across Electric Ave over in that parcel that we own, and the price tag is in the millions, like that's a big problem. Because at that 5 to 7 year mark, we need to have that money, and it needs to essentially be underway and ready to open, not just ready to get started by that 5 to 7 year mark. So we got to come up with a couple $1 million in the next couple of years for the mausoleum, for that expansion. And that's a tough thing to do right now, given the city's financial situation.
Ask a question.
Yes,
Okay, on the expansion, okay. 2 questions. 1, what's our contingency plan if we're not ready and we run out of space? And 2, I thought it was a law, or an ordinance anyways, that the city has the responsibility to bury its dead. Okay, so if we're not ready, I mean, because of finances, now does the city come into play as far as, never mind just the cemetery portion of it, to assist in building that? Because it's a lot.
I don't really have a good answer to either question. There really isn't a contingency plan. We've looked at different plots across the city that would be suitable for a burial site. There really aren't any available other than what we've got across from Forest Hill currently. So unless a piece of property becomes available that's suitable, there really is no contingency plan. We need to make that site work. And I would say that the city at some point is going to need to find that money to make it happen. Otherwise, we're going to be in a situation where we don't have the ability to bury our dead. And I think that is in direct violation of Mass General Law.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean, look at, the hoops we're jumping through now, just to restore a building. Never mind, open up a brand new cemetery, which will include a building and, everything that goes with it.
I think the challenge across the street is the site itself has some pretty steep topography, so it's going to need to be
Plus the ledge.
tiered. And then on top of that, there's this not very good soil there. What we saw was kind of like a perched wetland area on top of some sort of a confining layer. So we got to dig all that stuff out of there and bring in suitable material.
And it's ledge, isn't it? I mean, you got Cogswell Park,
Yeah,
which is, might as well say the same piece of land.
that's what that confining layer probably is. It's probably ledge. I know Unitil just ran into a bunch of ledge up on the project they were working on off of Electric Ave between Mount Elam and I think Woodworth was the other one that they were working on. So it's very likely that we're going to run into ledge when we're doing this project, and that's just going to make the cost go up.
Which means water.
It means water, so there's going to need to be a very robust drainage system, under drain system. It's all going to need to tie into that Sand Brook culvert, because that's the only way to get the water across the existing Forest Hill Cemetery, Nicholas Field, et cetera, to where it ultimately ends up. So that culvert, we got to evaluate the capacity of that. It's a big job.
So given what the potential price of that would be, just the prep work, never mind, would it behoove the city to purchase a piece, what do we need, 10 acres?
Well, that's what we're looking at when we were evaluating the cost of the master plan, and just because it's going to be tiered like Laurel Hill, you're talking even the maintenance of it is going to be, right, not even just the building cost, but the maintenance of it, you're looking at a nightmare. So we were looking for lots that were 10 acres at least. And there was just nothing out there.
Well, I'm saying is if we get, nothing out there that the city owns, but would it behoove, given the price of all of this stuff,
Right.
okay, and to purchase from, a private purchase, real estate or whatever, even if we have to demolish some, some buildings or whatever, it would probably come in cheaper than what it's gonna take to, and from somebody that used to work in the fuel business, believe me, those tiered things are miserable. I
And
mean,
they're terrible for maintenance as well.
there are accidents waiting to happen.
I think the investigation or search that engineering did a while back didn't necessarily just look at city-owned lots. I think it looked at all non-developed lots throughout the entire city that were at least 10 acres and were less than 10% grade. And they ran a GIS query to find those lots. And there were a few parcels that were identified, and we kind of went through and looked at where they were and who owned them and how the access was and all that. And I think they came up empty, essentially.
I suggested off Airport Road, the old filter pits. Down, it's on a main road,
So
easy to get at, it's right off of Route 2.
that's the site, the old pit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that right now it's owned by the FRA, so the city doesn't own it. But one of the issues there is the contamination of the soils that currently exists. And FRA and the developer that was looking to build there, they're looking to build a warehouse space there. They were trying to figure all that out. There's some paper pulp that was dumped there from the paper mills way back, and it's still there. It's a challenge to build on because it's not structurally suitable. And it's like in the tens of millions to remove it and get it out of there and properly dispose of it. So that, I think, is the challenge that they're dealing with right now. And if we were going to bury our dead there, I think we would also need to excavate out that paper pulp and get rid of it and bear that same expense. So that site might not be feasible just for that reason.
I didn't realize the city had sold that.
But I think it was sold back in, I want to say 2014 or something, somewhere around there. FRA's owned it for a while and allowed DPW to continue using it. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, they gave us the final, like, we got a developer working on the site. You need to find an alternate site for your pit. So we discontinued our activities there. And now we're using, we have a pit off of Caldwell Street in Greektown. And then we've got another pit up off of Princeton Road behind the Grief Paper Factory.
I guess.
Yeah.
But that's, unless another parcel, we can go back to that analysis that engineering did, see if there's anything that we missed. I know there's some farmland that might have been taken out of farmland status, was it chapter 69, chapter 61 or something like that.
Up off the Sheldon Road, that farm that they wanted to use for community farming. And I know that kind of fell through or something, so they're looking to bid, whoever owned it was looking to sell it. I think we talked about that at one of our meetings, but it's way up on Sheldon Road. So.
I mean, you're right, buying a lot might be cheaper than building on that current lot, especially.
Remember when we had the engineers, they brought us, forgot the young man's name.
I think it was Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah, they had, we located like 7, remember he showed us all of the different.
Do you remember when we first got on, they took us, I think it was Phil Jordan, I forget who it was, took us for a walk up to that one grave up behind the hospital, Burbank.
Hartwell Cemetery.
That area in there.
Well, that was owned by a family owned that. That was a family lot.
Up there, yeah, but I mean,
Oh,
it
the
was
land you mean?
the road we went in off of Ringe Road. Remember, there was a
Well,
gate there.
We had to walk.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, who owns that land in there? Because you get the reservoir.
I think some of it's water department lands, that's all conservation restriction and all that. Some of it, I think, is owned by North County Land Trust, similar type conservation restrictions, so. We'd have to look into the allowable uses for those properties, but I don't think a cemetery would be an allowable use based on those conservation restrictions. Especially burying people in groundwater, a surface water supply area, you get that watershed feeding the reservoir. You don't want,
Yeah.
cemetery in that area.
Well, I was just gonna ask a question, the Dean Hill Cemetery, the Revolution Cemetery, is there land there to bury people? I mean, I know it's a small area, but
Yes.
you couldn't like,
I don't think so. When you look back to the Revolutionary Cemetery, they were buried in wood caskets. We can't get our equipment over that, or
Okay.
we'd be destroying the graves.
Okay. Yeah,
But when you look at actually in Fitchburg as a whole, I think most of the farmland, open space is in the northern part of the city. Or as you approach Ashby, as you head north,
yeah,
there's more farmland, open expanse in that area of the city. You won't find it in the east, South Fitchburg, East Fitchburg, or, but in the north, you'll find more open space, just travel down Richardson Road. Just head down Richardson Road and you'll find open, just fields, there's hardly any dwellings, as you get closer to, as you head toward Ashby, So, just saying, there's lots of land.
About across from Pittsburgh High School,
that's
there.
there in Hell
I
Farm
thought
there.
that was for sale.
There's more farmland in the northern part of the city.
Mr. Roberti just tried to put up a building, a shed, not a shed, but like a greenhouse, about the one he had there. He went through heck trying to get that passed. And he's in a butter, then Aaron Howe Farms in a butter, and then it's Fitchburg High School. And there's conservation land, there's wetlands behind there also, so.
What about
There
the,
used to be a driving range up there. I'm sorry, Michelle, did you say something?
yeah, what about the park? I always forget the name of it.
Coolidge.
Coolidge. I mean, I don't know how much use the baseball field gets, so I'm not trying to create stress for
Well,
people.
it's under parkland. I don't know if it's tough trying to take parkland out of parkland. I know we had that trouble over here at BF Brown when they tried to get a little sliver of the playground.
Yeah, that needs an active legislature in order to do that.
Yeah, it's so tough. And that was gifted to the city too, so I don't know how that works,
Well, I just think that, I mean, it's not that we have any real solution, because I think most people would agree that the area across the street on Electric Ave is really not conducive at all for that. I mean, I'm not saying we won't end up doing it, but it's really not a solution. So how does the state mandate, or worse, by law, tell us we have to bury our dead and we have no land? What do they expect us to do?
Well, that's a good question, but I do know that a lot of these open farmlands are being turned into solar farms right now. I mean, I watch a lot of those meetings that up on the Ashburnham Street or Ashburnham Hill Road up there. They're getting a lot of money for either selling or renting their property for solar fields. Same things happening with Oak Hill Country Club, up on up that area there.
That'd be the ideal spot.
How many
Country Club
acres up
closed.
there?
That would be the place to have
But again, it's all ledge. I mean, once you cut the trees down,
that's the problem.
you still got to deal with all the rock.
Yeah.
This city sits on bedrock.
Rock.
It's the bottom of a mountain, so no matter where you build,
You got
you're gonna have to drill, baby, drill.
So on the screen here, this highlighted in yellow is Dean Hill.
Yeah,
There is some property next to it, but it's not owned by the city. It's owned by this Sean Farrow.
okay, so it's
which is
privately owned.
This larger parcel here.
Oh.
And then you've got a house with that little strange sliver of land down here too.
Mhm.
So I don't know what the topography looks like. I know it's relatively hilly out in this area,
Very
so we'd have to
hilly,
look at it, but maybe we talk to Sean and see if he'd be willing to sell.
What's the acreage you have? Does he have it on his? I think you want to buy it.
Yeah.
It's usually right up front, right there around.
They have to do any road prep from just to get up there, that's not exactly the greatest road.
Caswell's dirt. So we'd have to, yeah, I mean, we regrade it once a year, twice a year.
I don't mean so much there, I'm talking about
65 acres?
from,
Yeah.
let's say like West Street up.
It's not in bad shape. Ashburn and Hill Road from West Street up to the first intersection with Williams is a little bit rough.
I'm thinking more winter burial, winter burials.
Yeah. A section of Williams was just repaved, but I think paving Ashburn and Hill Road would go hand in hand with trying to get a cemetery up here off the ground.
Do we have to put a building up there?
Yes.
So this is
Or trail.
65 acres, this parcel. I don't know what the topography is like,
How
but
much is it?
65 acres,
50?
65.
Oh, 65,
Yeah.
that's big. Wow,
I know this area is pretty hilly, so we'll have to go out there and kind of walk it and take a look at it, but there's nothing on this parcel right now. It's owned by Sean Farrow. I don't know who that person is or if he's willing to sell. It looks like he owns some neighboring developed property. This one
what's
here
the address on that?
on his property,
Well, on, yeah, property.
it's just
that-
called 0 Ashburn Hill Road.
Oh, isn't that where the solar farm? Oh, no, wait a minute, what am I thinking of? So, 0, I've seen that address before. Ashton Hill.
There, Ashburn Hill Road is the address.
Hill Road.
Yeah,
Where is that, or is it Ashburnham Street that solar farm is going on?
that's Ashburn Street.
Street,
I
okay,
know where you're talking.
yeah, okay, I was gonna say, that was a 02. See, I don't.
So
Did the city just put a moratorium on new solar fields?
Yeah, that's
Well,
what I was thinking. Why don't they say no until we
Yeah.
figure it out?
Alex can probably talk to that, right, Alex? That moratorium on solar fields, was before the city council, but
New permits, I saw it in the newspaper.
I don't know if it ever passed, so they're still working on it.
Yeah, I'm not so sure on that.
Yeah, I know it was before the city council.
So this is S&M Farms, that Sean Farrow is listed as owning adjacent to the parcel we're looking at. So it's that guy that owns that business up there.
What's the business?
S&M Farms, they do like, I know we buy hay bales and silt fence from them. They make like straw wattles for erosion control and those types of things. I'm sure they have other products, but that's what this cluster of buildings is up here. And it's right off the Ashby West Road. So I don't know if you'd have any interest in selling off that parcel or a piece of that parcel. The way it's divided
How
by
would you get in there?
surface cover, it all looks almost like this area was cleared at one point.
Yeah, there's trees
And
there.
this area remained forested, so
What's the access to it though? How?
it abuts Caswell Road.
Oh, okay, and that
So-
little square is Dean Hill.
Correct, that's Dean
Oh,
Hill.
okay.
This is the parcel.
Okay.
Even half of that is
35 or
32.5
30,000.
acres. Maybe half of it is flat enough that it could work. And
So all of that surrounding, there's no homes in it, it just looks like it's all property, right?
correct.
So that wouldn't be an issue probably with, the neighborhood.
You just have to check and make sure it's not in agricultural.
How many acres is
It's in chapter 61. Sorry to interrupt you. So
So that's what, farmland?
that I believe is farmlands, and I think it's difficult to take it out of farmland.
Is that easy to do?
Are they already converting farmland to solar farms though?
Well, that's what's been happening. There's up off of Ashburnham Street, there was a piece of property. Well, I don't believe it was farmland, but I don't know that for certain. It was a piece of property that someone owned, and I don't know if they sold the property to a solar farm or if the solar farm is renting the property, but they've cleared it. And once they cleared all the trees, it created a water issue and an icing issue for the people below it where the neighborhood is. And it's been going through ZBA and conservation, and I don't know what the final results were. I can't tell you that.
It's where the towers are.
Radio towers up top of,
Rock.
Alpine Road.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, that's all open up there.
you can zoom over there. That is. So here. There's the radio tower, one of the radio towers right there.
And is that city-owned property?
No, that's, SBA Properties Incorporated, and then the adjacent parcel that's highlighted is Stephen Sweeney,
Sonnen? I can't see it.
Soini.
Sonnen.
Then across the way is
Awesome.
Bernard Fossa. He has that little golf course that he maintains up there.
Oh, yeah.
One of these parcels was slated for a solar development. I think it was this one here. And it was somewhat recently logged. This area is
That's the golf course there.
this right here.
Isn't that what Don Laszlo lives up that way? Yeah.
Is that Don's?
Yes.
So this area adjacent to the golf course area. See what the acreage is there.
It's Glen Foss.
Glen Foss.
What's that?
Glen Foss.
Oh, Glenn Fosse, yeah.
But that was his father is deceased. Bernard Foster. Is not living.
Glen owns it.
Glenn, but he has it in his father's name. Bernard was his father.
I think it's also in Glen's name.
Glenn's name too, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably on the card somewhere.
That one's only 8 acres.
Oh, that's too small.
It does list co-owner Glenn Fossa and Rose Spears Property. I think this starts to slope downhill like this land right here. This larger parcel here is probably a little bit too steep for a cemetery. Probably fine for a solar field, but this one's large.
And how big is the parcel on Electric Ave?
50-something acres.
50 acres. I think,
Jacqueline, how
I
big?
think it's like
It's 30,
20,
35.
Oh,
yeah, it's, yeah. it's
Oh, across the street.
Forest Hill is 50.
Yeah, Forest Hill, yeah.
It's this parcel right here. $43.
Well, there are parcels of land, there's land out there, yeah, as we see.
There are parcels out there. We would just need to make an ask and see if anyone would be willing to sell.
Like Glenn should be approached. Yeah,
well, the reason I was asking was, you know, would the city entertain a land swap with somebody? I mean, money, if you don't have the money, you have assets.
right, oh,
You
yeah,
know, that parcel would be a great place for a developer.
right,
So if somebody wanted to say, fine, take my farmland, I'll take yours. Then you can sell it to a developer at some point. So we'll have to start investigating some of those properties.
Well, the process has to start now. I mean, like Nick said, you have to be shovel ready and have the money to go within the next 5 years, 5 to 7, but you have to start the process now because it's so slow. Everything takes so long to do. That if you don't start it now, you'll be behind the 8 ball. All right, well, so thank you for that recap on the project. So, and for at least looking at some of the prospects of, you know, open private land. So maybe that'll have to be the kind of like one of the steps we have to take. So number 6, we're gonna hold till next meeting. because I didn't send out the minutes. I apologize for that. I was depending on Jacqueline for that. Shouldn't have done that, so it's okay. Move those. All right, and then the last item on the agenda is number 7, is the superintendent's report. Jacqueline, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, basically, we're just getting ready for winter, working on that, the columbarium area in the back. Still waiting on, the cemetery, software proposal with purchasing and Trevor to kind of figure, what our next moves are with our database. I have the dates here for, the Friends of Fitchburg Cemetery, their winter solstice walk, in December 21st, the spring equinox on March 20th, and the summer solstice on June 20th. I think we discussed, we're gonna be hopefully paving in the next few weeks. And engineering is working on a program that will help with the sales in the area to show which graves are available, which graves are sold. So I don't have to do everything manually, so excited to see where that goes. And basically, that's all I have.
The final building for the Spencer Group, which is still waiting, are you waiting for them to send a bill? Is that what we're doing?
They sent an original bill, but it was not in compliance with what we agreed to
Right,
with our contract.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
so I'm just waiting for the last and final bill from them that's adjusted. I just don't have it yet.
And did we get any information as to whether or not they were willing to extend their contract? Did you
Yes.
speak to them about that?
I spoke with Mary via email. She reviewed the contract documents, saw no reason why.
Mary from Spencer, excuse me.
Mary Delaney
Oh,
from Nursing.
okay.
She didn't see any reason to not extend the contract, so she was basically willing to keep the contracts open until we can make some progress. She didn't see any real end date in there. So she's comfortable with just
And
keeping them on board
how
essentially.
does the Spencer Group feel about that?
It sounded like they were open to it. It seemed like that was their preferred approach based on what Petros had told us last meeting.
Question. The last meeting we had discussed when we do the winter prep on the roof, somebody was gonna be, actually, I think it's your question, Nick. Observe, make sure
Yes.
we're getting the most bang for our buck up there. And I think they said, was it Petros? Well, we had suggested,
He was gonna be there.
okay, that's what I was gonna say, was that,
Yeah.
because I thought we left that up in the air. No
No.
pun intended.
Yeah, and once we have an actual date, once we decide which company to move forward with and get a date from them, we'll coordinate with Petros, make sure it works for him, make sure he can be up there.
Okay.
Make sure someone's watching.
Yeah. He'll be on the roof. Okay, all right, anybody else have any other questions about Jacqueline's report? So I'll have to,
Well, every time, Jacqueline on every report has family genealogy.
Mhm.
Now, these are people who are calling you or emailing you or writing you about what? Inquiring about the genealogy of those buried in Forest Hill, I mean,
Yeah, it could be a phone call, an email,
so what are,
walking in.
so what
They
are,
wanna know.
what are they looking for?
Well, it varies from where is their grave to who is this person? How are they related to these people?
Oh, so they
Yeah,
want you to, so they
full
want you
burial
to.
permits. Yeah, yep.
Okay, so, but you always have that every time.
All the time. We have nothing online for people to look up where their relatives are and what information we have. It's not open to the public, so they have to contact me to get that.
So this is a complimentary service.
No,
No,
Oh,
there is a
fee?
charge for
There is a
it.
charge,
We
okay.
stopped the charges because we stopped the website that people could look up themselves.
Okay.
So it's temporary on hold because we have no other way for them to get that information.
but there is a charge.
There was a fee.
There is a fee, but it's been,
Yeah, that's right.
we suspended it because we didn't get the new software
But
for
it's a
people to look it
flat,
up
but it's a
themselves.
flat fee, I mean, when the fee is reinstated.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, it's right on our price sheet.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Did we used to have a website with that information available?
Yeah.
yes.
And was that the younger gentleman that you were talking about earlier?
No,
No, no, this was through my database. They could go on the city's website, they could plug in the name and get the location of their loved one. The company that was doing that, we stopped their service because we were getting new software and we didn't want to renew it,
And we
but we never got.
but we never got. Exactly.
That's
But
the
that
money that
service
Trevor's
was-
still holding, the money Trevor's, that 25,000 or whatever it is that.
20.
No, this was totally separate from that. This
Okay.
was another group that was hosting for people to get that information, but the decision was made to stop that service because we were getting new software.
Which we never got.
Correct.
So how much roughly were we paying per month for that service? Do you remember?
I'm sorry, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Curious if it makes sense to maybe bring that back. If it would save you any time in the office having to do the genealogy manually.
Yeah, they could just go on the city website, look it up. It would probably stop some phone calls because not all these are recorded, you know what I mean? If I can just plug it in, get the location, I tell them and hang up the phone.
Yeah,
So what's the status of the software, cemetery software?
Non-existent.
So not even on anybody's radar?
No.
We don't even,
No, but we have done some tweaks to our current database that is really helping. I can check in again and see what the cost would be to get that up for the public to be able to do that opposed to phone calls that I get for that.
Whatever
I can check
happened,
into that.
that 20,000 that they put aside for that, that's still that's still out there anywhere? Or is that gone?
No, it's there.
Now, what would it take as a procedure, you know, probably it's never gonna materialize, to take that 20,000 that was granted to the cemetery department, even though I know it wouldn't be for the same project, but how could you go about changing the project to take that 20 grand and put it towards the mausoleum?
Oh, no, that's earmarked for that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So, yeah,
Can that be changed?
I guess we'd have to ask Jackie Cronin. But right now the account is under IT because it was earmarked for software. And if it's not used for the software, I believe it would just go back to the general fund for other use. I don't think there's any opportunity to re-earmark it for something else.
So why has it not been used? If it's been budgeted, why wasn't it completed?
So we went out to an RFP for cemetery software back in 2018.
yes.
One of the concerns was the data that we have, the database that we have isn't compatible with what is needed to get that cemetery software up and running. It needed some work. So there's two components to the RFP. One was going through that database and getting it up to snuff to where it needed to be. And then the second was actually implementing the cemetery software and getting that up and running. The prices that we got back were just above our budget because the maintenance needed on the database was kind of nebulous. There wasn't a really clearly defined scope. So I think the bidders, the company that provided this proposal, threw a pretty large number at that. And that put it outside of our budget. So in between that happening and us not awarding that project to the only company that we got to respond, and now Jacqueline has had her consultant, it's a company called Computemps, working on that database to help clean it up to get it to that point where it doesn't need any work and we can use one of these softwares. And I think there's still a little work that needs to be done to get it to that point. But that was the hurdle that we ran into.
And what is the cemetery software gonna cost? What was that bid?
I think the proposal was for, I want to say 80 or 90K. And our budget was like 70K.
So do you then own it, or that's your initial license fee, and then you pay a license fee, maintenance every year?
That was the initial fee, and then there was a per year cost associated with that. I forget what the annual maintenance fee was. It was somewhere around 12, 15K, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so you had like 10% of what you paid for it, yeah.
I mean, we have those proposals from way back. I could dig those up and send it to you just so you have for your own information.
Are you saying that
that's-
the work that CompuTemp is doing on the software is going to make it compatible to be able to transfer the data to the new software?
The data that is entered into this program that's 30 years old, CompuTemp's developed this program. The different people that sat and entered the data, entered it different ways. So I think, the major concern from IT is, junk in, junk out. Let's get this stuff organized and put together. So when it goes into a new cemetery software, it's all good data. So that is what she's been working on, and that 20,000, we're working on potentially getting that to somebody to continue this process.
So the 20 grand is not a down payment for the new software. Is it still part of the funds needed to get the existing database in good shape?
Correct. And since we did not go with that company, I've changed the database. So we're accepting the DD-214s, we're accepting pictures of the headstones, putting the interment order, family history. So we've added so much more to this database. And I've been using funds yearly to tweak the database and to clean it up.
That's a huge undertaking.
Mhm.
Just with the data entry of that information is massive. That's a Herculean, endeavor.
Yeah, the obituaries are going on there too. She has finished, and I think I shared that with you guys. She finished the mausoleum where there's a map and you can just click on a certain crypt and you can get that person's, all their information right from clicking it on a map.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we've changed it a lot. Yeah, and cleaned up a lot.
Well,
Mhm.
well, it's a lot of work. A lot of work to do that.
And that's hosted on a computer at the cemetery, or it's hosted on a server somewhere?
Well, it's on my computer that I back up to the main frame here.
Yeah. Okay, but it's a local.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not a remotely accessible software or visible to the public.
Right.
So I'm curious, back to the company that we were using to host the genealogical data.
Yeah.
Do they have, so they had all that stuff scanned and uploaded to their server or something like that for people to access?
There was an update that happened electronically through them, and I don't know if it was a city server, but it updated automatically. So when somebody new was entered, I don't know if it was weekly or monthly, it updated so people could look, type in their loved one and find, okay, they're on, they're at grave such and such section, and they could find them.
So is that must have been tapping into the database that Priscilla works on somehow, that's right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will check out what the number, what it costs to get that back up and running. And, talk to Trevor about that.
That was like one component of the SemSite software that we're looking at. Obviously, SemSite's had all the other functionality too, but Priscilla's gotten that database far beyond where it was back in 2018, where we originally went out to proposal.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that company can take the database that Priscilla has right now. And in the past, they made it public facing somehow and searchable. So maybe they can do the same, but add some of these other features, components of like the mapping and all that, obituaries, once that's up there. You know, maybe that's a lower cost solution than buying like the SimSite software or something like that. And that it will at least make it public facing so that you're reducing the amount of calls that come into your office, and people can then just go online and look at some of this stuff.
Sure, sure.
So you said this current software is 30 years old, so are you concerned about it just because it's probably based on, you know, a DOS-based program or something, or it's obviously not, you know, current 64-bit program, that kind of thing. Does the company still do updates to it in terms of maintenance and security?
Oh, she does it all the time. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
That's
it's just an access database. It's
Yeah.
That's what I assume.
Nothing crazy. I don't think there's any real security protocols built in. So if we like exposed it to the public, I think there's a security risk there. I think that's kind of been IT's concern all along. So that's where some company that would come in and help us, you know, resolve that security issue would be helpful. So the company that we were targeting back in 2018 was a company called SimSites. I think it's the same software that's used at like Arlington National Cemetery and a couple other large cemeteries in the US. And they didn't even end up submitting a proposal, which is a little upsetting. There's only one company out of, I think, Canada that submitted that proposal to us. And their software wasn't quite the same as SimSites, and it wasn't as appealing to us. And then the price tag was just kind of put it out of our range.
Yeah.
So it would be good to see what else is out there nowadays, and you know, maybe there's something else we can take our access database and turn it into something. So we don't need to go and get some specialized software or something like that.
Yeah. Most of those are built on some type of database, you know, usually Access, but it could be the one that they use for payroll and things, forgetting the name of it. Anyways.
So sort of like a SQL server.
Yes, Michelle?
Oracle, maybe? I don't know. That's
Oracle, that's what I was thinking of, yeah. But that Oracle's out of sight. I mean, it costs millions.
Yeah, so I'll dig up the proposal that we did get back then. I'll send it around just so everyone can see it and revisit it. I know, George, you probably haven't seen it because it was before your time on the board. Andy, you probably remember it. But I'll send that out too, so everyone has it. And we can kind of keep thinking about that as in the near future, see if there's something we can do.
Is the current system an impediment to your work?
No, because I've constantly made changes and adding everything there. So most just all paperwork. So when I can just go into the database, you know, for the past few years now, and I can just look up the obituary, or I can look up, you know, the application for the veterans marker, or, you know, everything is at my fingertips. Where it wasn't, it was just the person's name, and now there's a bunch that I can just get right at my fingertips, which is huge opposed to trying to pull everything out. And I'm in a small trailer, so a lot of my paperwork is at the DPW. Yeah.
The other issue is Jacqueline doesn't have an admin or any sort of assistant, so you know, she's dealing with managing her crew plus dealing with funerals or whatnot. And then someone calls with a huge genealogical request. That's not something she can necessarily get to right away. You know, sometimes that's hours and hours digging through old records if it's not in her database. So I think having another staff person cemetery would be helpful too, but that's a separate issue and probably not feasible with the current budget.
Right.
Is it a law that we have to provide genealogy information other than just the location of the site? I mean,
no, I don't think it's a law, but I think if we have that information and somebody's looking for it, I don't know, I kind of feel obligated that we give it to them.
Right.
Yeah, I think if we have the records, we're responsible to provide the records. There might be something under the public record request law that we have to comply with. So I think if someone makes that request, that it falls under that statute where we have to provide the information, and if we have it, and we have to provide it within a certain period of time.
I would think it would be public record, wouldn't it? I mean, the birth and death records are public records, so I don't see an issue with that.
No, I wasn't
I think-
thinking birth, death, where the site's located, like minimal information, but when you talk about genealogy records, I don't know exactly what that entails, but if we have like newspaper articles about someone in our possession, does that mean that we have to like share those specifically? And you know what I'm saying? I don't know how in depth the records are that we have and what it is that you're sharing with them, but I don't know. It's interesting because I would not expect a city to have to provide me with all that information. It seems like it would just be, like I said, that.
Well, how does the Historical Society do it? They have historical records there of people. I mean, if they share that with anyone.
Yeah, it's all shared. As far as access to obituaries, the two ways to get, you will be getting obituaries. Funeral homes that have websites actually have, you can get links to their obituaries. But there are funeral homes that you will not get them from. You will not, you will have to depend on newspaper, the newspaper obituary, which you would have to be scanned. Those obituaries that you don't get from the funeral home, you would have to be able to scan from a newspaper, the obituary, to be able to provide that information.
A lot of the obituaries, I think it goes back to like the 50s.
Yes. Do you actually have
They cut them out.
well, are you willing to take on some more kind of obituaries? Because I have in my basement over 20,000 obits that I prepared between 1993 and 2001 for the Central Enterprise. I have not only the newspaper obituaries, but actually the actual obituaries that were facts from the area funeral homes. So,
Well, I certainly would take them.
did you take
I
those?
certainly would take them. I took
I
up
saved them
the
all.
data from the Civil War vets from Steve Twining. I cannot possibly enter everything,
No,
but it's nothing I wouldn't, like, if there was a clerical person that could do scanning and attach it to the file,
Yeah.
I wouldn't not do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to get rid of these boxes and boxes. I saved them. Yeah.
Okay.
I threw nothing on. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Any more discussion on the report? So I'll need a motion to approve the superintendent's report.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, thank you, Andy. I'll need a second.
Second.
Thank you, James. All in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Okay, so the final thing on the agenda is we won't have a meeting in December as we have that month off. The next meeting date, January 16th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in the West Room, which is this room, first floor City Hall. And I'll call for an adjournment unless any, yeah, Andy?
One more question, just a suggestion, in the mausoleum, do we have, how many of the, we'll say, city founding fathers or big names, like the Dillons or Wallaces and Clarkes? Do we have an abundance of them in that museum, mausoleum?
Yes, because they're the actual ones who paid for it and left that endowment. Yeah.
Okay, a suggestion just to make the public more aware of this, okay? I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know what a mausoleum is,
You're correct.
never mind contribute. Remember Joy, what was her name, Joy Qantas? She used to do a weekly, if I'm not mistaken, on FATV, history of Fitchburg. She'd focus on different, different parts of Fitchburg and give you the history of it. Where we have a mausoleum filled with the city's founding fathers.
Yeah.
And big name, I mean, Dillon was
Right.
known all over the
Well,
world.
besides the industrial entrepreneurs, We have 5 Fitchburg mayors.
There you go. What I'm saying is, would it behoove us like a half-hour spot on FATV? Feature one a week, like, the gentleman that founded Dillon Boiler Works. I mean, he's got had boilers all over the world. The mayors, what they accomplished in their terms, or what was going on in the city.
Sounds like a great project,
Calvin
Andy.
Pool is this one cousin.
FATV.
Anybody who'd like to volunteer their time, raise their hand.
Yeah, no,
That's a good idea.
no, actually, no, FAT is looking for programming, diversified programming, yeah, so.
I'm just saying, people that watch that might, all of a sudden start to appreciate what it is we're trying to do and preserve. Who, otherwise they're just, marginally city begging for money again. I mean, at least here it gives it a face.
Well, I appreciate actually that Judith and Jack that appeared on Barbara and you. That was a great show you did with Barbara. Presenting the situation with the mausoleum.
Okay, so right before we adjourn the meeting, I have an announcement. And so November 21st, 2024, to the trustees of the public burial grounds and the viewing public. Today, November 21st, I will not seek reappointment to the trustee board. I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude for the support and trust you all have extended to me as the chair of the trustee board during my 7 years of volunteering on this very important and mostly overlooked committee. I would like to thank DPW Commissioner Erickson and Superintendent Poirier for their perseverance and good work in maintaining our precious and sacred burial grounds. Also, Dan Roy and the cemetery crew that work so hard and take great pride in the maintenance of all 6 burial grounds for the city of Fitchburg. It is my hope the trustees will continue to work diligently in our shared endeavor to secure the funding for Forest Hill Abbey Mausoleum renovation project and the expansion of our only active burial ground, Forest Hill Cemetery. Judith Perla, acting chair, or I should say chair presently, trustees of the public burial grounds. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, James. And I'll take a second on the motion.
Second.
Andy? Okay, thank you. All right. We are adjourned and it is 11:17 a.m.